Hello, I'm Sierra Scott. Welcome to It's All Good. This is a show dedicated to people, places, companies, and organizations that are working hard to make the world a better place to live. There's a group here in Kansas who's performed at Carnegie Hall not once, but twice. And not only that, there wasn't an empty seat in the place. The W Wranglers are considered to be the best of the best of the best when it comes to performing Western music. We got a chance to sit down with some of the original members of the group to find out how they started playing together. What do you think makes you so unique?
Well, none of us has a lick of sense in our heads, and it's always fun to watch idiots, you know.
Well, we're all pretty much certifiable, so that, that works.
And it takes a little craziness to stay in this business.
The W Wranglers, previously known as the Prairie Rose Wranglers, began performing together back in 1999.
Well, we just have fun. If it's fun for us, it's going to be fun for someone else.
The W Wranglers perform some of the old favorites like Cool Water, Tumbling Tumbleweeds, and Ghost Riders in the Sky. But they also mix in original songs they've written as well.
The music is Western music. It's not country, it's cowboy music. Some of it is old, authentic cowboy music going back into the 1800s.
Stu Stewart is one of two Kansans in the group. He's the band's lead singer.
People love to laugh. It's been medically proven to be beneficial to laugh. So we like to make people laugh.
Tell you how it is, and I told her, I'll let her know. I didn't see her for 3 days. And on the third day, I saw her just a little bit out of his left eye.
You could say Stu's got music in his bones. His grandfather was the chief announcer on WLS radio in Chicago, hosting the famous WLS Barn Dance. But interestingly enough, Stu's first foray into music wasn't country or Western.
Started a band, a rock and roll band in high school in Augusta. And
What was the name of the band?
it was called the Night Riders. We played around the area wherever we could play. We rented National Guard armories and played at Pizza Huts and played for school dances, that kind of thing.
I went to the doctor for my annual medical exam.
I had always been into folk music a lot, so I started a folk band, played with a rock band, just kind of slammed around a little, went up to Iowa. Of course, I had to work day jobs because I wasn't, when you're in the Midwest, it's hard to just make a living playing music. But that was just always looking for another gig, looking for music to play. It's all about the music.
Stu eventually ended up moving to Nashville to pursue his dream. While there, he met Jim Farrell, another member of this group. Back then, though, the two formed a group called J38 Land and Cattle Company, which performed around Nashville.
And when I moved up here in '98, he was still in Tennessee. And I met the owner of the Prairie Rose. Of course, it didn't exist at that time. And he had called looking for a cowboy singer. He called down to KFDI and got Orrin Friesen on the phone. And Orrin and I had been friends for 20 years. And I had been, since I moved back here, working with his band a little bit, the Home Rangers.
Orrin immediately called Stu and another man, and the three of them went off to perform.
And there was a group of about 20 people from France who were here for the airplane industry. And they told the mayor that they wanted a little cowboy experience.
And did they ever get one? All because Orrin answered a phone call. Sometimes you have no idea what will trigger a complete change in your career path, and that phone call definitely did.
It was in February of '99. By May of '99, he had the outdoor amphitheater ready at the Prairie Rose, and that's when we started it.
At that point, it was just a weekend gig. At first, they weren't sure it would take off, so Jim didn't want to move here permanently until he knew it would be a stable job.
Yeah, Jim commuted from Nashville for about a month and a half. Every weekend, he'd drive up here and play for 3 days and drive back to Nashville. Made just enough money to pay for his speeding tickets.
It didn't take long for the show to develop a following, though. After the break, we'll tell you why the band members think the show became such a hit. Before the break, we told you that the members of the W Wranglers started out with another name and another location. Their show actually grew by word of mouth.
Didn't take long for the show to develop a following, though.
As we went along through the first season, we saw that it could be a lot more than fun because people were picking up on it. They were realizing what we had there, that it was very different. It was at one time it was retro and it was new, you know. It was almost so old it was new.
The first year, 3,500 people came out to take a hayride through the pasture to see them.
Second year, we had built the Opera House. We had 17,500 come out. The third year, we had 26,000. The fourth year, it was over 30,000. It just kept building.
Finally, the demand grew so big, it became a full-time job.
The style that we were doing was very family-oriented. You could bring the grandparents and the grandkids and anybody you wanted to bring, and you didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was cool. It was something people had been looking for, apparently. We didn't even realize how much they'd been looking for it.
And Steve says he thinks the music itself is a draw.
It makes you feel good. A lot of it's about outdoors and nature and you know, how you know the wonderful things that are on the earth and the things that are important to us and should be important to us. And yeah, you can't help but feel good about it. You really can't.
The long homes came to Texas in the heartland of the free. Texas cowboys couldn't fail, driving up the pigeon trail. Hurt so big they stretched as far as any man could see.
Another founding member of the group, Orrin Friesen, has a long-standing relationship with music.
And I've always liked music. Ever since I can remember as a kid, music has always been a part of my life.
His first introduction to music was playing a trombone in the 3rd grade.
And got my first guitar when I was my second year of college and started playing the guitar and, you know, learning a few chords here and there and playing rock and roll songs, you know, Louie Louie and Wild Thing, you know, things that you can play with 3 chords. And then just kind of branched out from there. Got my first band together in college playing bluegrass music.
As time went on, Orrin learned to play the mandolin, the bass, and finally the upright bass, which he thought fit better into the style of music he was playing. Tennessee Jim was born and raised in Nashville and got into the music business at an age that most of us are still playing ball in the backyard. When Jim was only 12, he and his cousins started a folk trio.
Tractors to the ground.
Church things, and we did some TV shows and stuff like that. And around in Nashville, there was a lot of stuff like that going on. And so we were able to get into stuff that a lot of folks wouldn't be able to in other places. And so I've been in front of the camera and in front of the microphone, in front of people, as far as I can remember.
Just 2 years later, Jim found himself working in a recording studio.
At 14, I was doing demo sessions, and at 16, I was doing master sessions.
Today, he's considered to be one of the best producers and recording engineers in Western music. In addition to performing with the W Wranglers, Jim also owns a very successful recording studio in Towanda.
Well, Nashville has changed so much, and the industry has changed. Not only that, but technology has changed to the point where you don't have to be in Nashville to do business anymore. You do have to have the contacts. You do have to know people down there. And the songwriting, that's really my first love, the songwriting. Writing is not something you do, it's something you can't help from doing.
Stevie C., the rhythmic cowboy, says he picked up his interest in music from his mother, who was an accomplished pianist and organist.
She had to teach me piano, and I didn't have the patience for it, but she taught me, you know, the basics of music appreciation.
Steve started out serving food and working in the kitchen at the Prairie Rose Chuck Wagon.
I probably pestered them, as they would probably describe it, to let me try to sing some 4-part with them, do 4-part harmony on some, like Cool Water and some of the old standards, and either just to shut me up or just get me out of their hair. They said, "Okay, we can let you do that."
On top of all the rehearsing and performing he does with the Diamond W Wranglers, Steve is still a full-time architect for a firm here in town. This band has racked up some pretty amazing honors, one of which very few musicians ever achieve.
Carnegie Hall, that was something we never thought we'd do in our lives.
Not only did they get to perform there, Carnegie Hall actually called them to invite them to perform.
What goes to your mind when you hit the stage at Carnegie Hall?
If you've ever been on the spot, you know, that term never meant more than it did when we walked out on that stage. Here you have 2,600 people watching you, expecting you to be the best that you can be.
You know, that's like Mecca. I don't know how to describe it, but you know, it's walking out on that stage and thinking, who has performed there? I mean, the world's most talented, the best people, best performers in the world perform on that stage. And me, just a little old guy from Potwood, Kansas. I mean, you know, that's pretty amazing.
This started off as a hobby, and I never, you know, Stu probably could tell you, he maybe had this drive to want to be a professional musician. I never really, you know, it was one of those kind of fantasy things. Oh, it would be kind of cool to do this, but to actually end up doing it, that's kind of went beyond my wildest dreams.
I have gotten to go and do some things in my life in these last 4 or 5 years in my wildest imagination I'd have never thought I'd got to do.
The group has also performed on the Great Wall in China and has hosted cowboy cruises. But surprisingly, that's not what means the most to Orrin.
The most important thing for me is just being able to do this with guys that I like, and just to be able to make music. You know, I love music.
Even though members of this band have gone places and seen things most people never do, they still have some things they'd like to achieve. Coming up after the break, we'll tell you what they are. Some of them might actually surprise you.